Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got a really cool knife overview to share with you guys. This is the ProTech Custom Rockeye with a mirror polish blade and the aluminum bronze scales. Now I have a lot to say about this knife. I have reviewed the Rockeye before. If you didn't know, the ProTech Rockeye, which is a Les George collaboration, is my absolute favorite side opening automatic knife ever, and probably my favorite ProTech knife ever. I've always told myself, because I stupidly got rid of my old Rockeye, that I would add another one to my collection, but I was waiting for the right one. For some reason, I decided to pass on this, and my good buddy Sierra_bound on Instagram loaned this to me. And after handling it, I realized I may have missed the one. This is absolutely spectacular. You can still get versions of the Rockeye right now. In fact, I will link the ProTech Rockeye right down in the description. You guys can take a look at it. Seriously, I absolutely recommend it if you can carry automatic knives, right? These are US made, very snappy, etc. The ones that are available will be way less expensive than this guy, which is no longer available, at least not that I know of. But yeah, after he loaned this to me and I handled it for the first time, I thought, I think this may have been the one. So we're going to talk about this model. I've already reviewed it, or this specific variant. So we're going to kind of, rush through a bunch of stuff. Thanks to Scott for sending this in for me to take a look at it. We'll go back to Scott when I'm done. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me, and please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. I'm going to go ahead and get through specs very quickly so we can talk about that beautiful blade and that awesome handle. We're coming in at about, I don't want to touch the blade with the, it's like 8.5 inches. Blade length is coming in at 3.5. Cutting edge is coming in at 3.25. Yep. Size comparisons. How about up against the Ontario Rat Model 1 and the Ontario Rat Model 2? I had forgotten that this was actually an 8.5 inch knife. For some reason I thought 8.25, right? Which is the same as the Les George VECP. But yeah, it's a full-size knife by my definition, at least. How about up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3? There we go. If you're wondering what all that crunching is, that noise, it's my desk chair rolling over the almost disintegrated plastic chair mat that's underneath me. It's finally breaking into tiny pieces, and I just haven't replaced it yet, so yeah, it's going to sound like thick cornflakes being stepped on. Finally, up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue, and the Benchmade Bug Out. Alrighty. How is the action on this guy? I think the ProTech Rockeye in general, first of all, ProTech side-opening automatic knives, there's always people who think, oh, an automatic's an automatic. No. That is something that people say until they handle something like a ProTech. And then they go, oh, I was incorrect, right? Or they don't say anything, and you just never hear from them again. Yeah, ProTech knives fire ridiculously hard. I've said this many times over the last few years on this channel. ProTech makes the best side-opening automatic knives in the world, and it just happens to be that they make them in the United States, which is really cool. I live in the United States. I'm going to support that type of thing. The Rockeye seems to fire exceptionally hard, and this version of the Rockeye, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because there's so much weight in the handle. I don't know. This thing fires like a monster. It is insane. I have a video on Instagram where I stood in one of the more echoey parts of my house and fired this thing, and it's just like it's ridiculous. The firing power of this knife is insane. This is one of the hardest firing autos that I have ever handled. I think the only thing that I have fired a side opening auto, the only one I've ever fired that fires harder is probably the Microtech Stitch, but it's close. That is nasty, right? And the blade being mirror polished just really adds another element there. Let's weigh it. So I always thought that, because this lists as bronze aluminum. So I was like, oh, so it's just like bronze colored aluminum? Like, why is it so expensive? No. This is bronze. But it must be, the reason they're putting an emphasis on aluminum, I'm not a metal person, I don't know, so somebody in the comments might be able to explain it better than me. Bronze is a copper-based metal, right? It has aluminum in it, I guess naturally. You can tell I just like read some stuff on Google, which is absolutely what I did. It's got pretty good durability, corrosion resistance. It's got really good corrosion resistance, actually. It has nautical applications, right? It's heavy. I think that's the downside. And obviously, it will still patina. This thing has developed a surface patina since it's been with me. And I gotta be honest, I think it looks way, way cooler with the patina. Super cool with the patina. There's sirens going off on side. No idea what that's about. But anyways, it's freaking bronze. Probably the reason that they put the emphasis on the aluminum is because there is additional aluminum added, my guess would be, to this bronze, maybe to help a little bit with extra corrosion resistance based, versus the base, whatever base bronze is, and probably also to lighten it up just a little bit. That's just a guess, right? This thing still comes in crazy heavy, this version, right? Way heavier than the standard aluminum models. Wow, almost 8 ounces. That's a lot. It's definitely noticeable, but it also gives you that heft that sort of, this is an expensive knife, right? And for some reason, a lot of us have that part of our brains. I do too, right? I got that part of my brain where I'm like, oh, I paid a lot of money for this, but it's heavy. So, it feels like I paid for more of like additional mass, which makes me feel, it makes the very primitive caveman part of my brain go, good transaction. Like that's, I don't know why. I don't know why we're dumb like that. People, huh? Fellow human beings? That's a dumb part of our brains that we can't, there's nothing really we can do about it. But it's there. If you like to, shake hands with that caveman in your head every now and then and go, hey, I appreciate you being here, well, then you'll both appreciate the fact that there's extra weight in the handle. It'll make you feel good about, paying what you paid for this. So yeah. Hardware, it's the exact same as the other one. People are going to ask about this clip. Oh, I'd like it a whole lot better if it didn't have that clip. This is a steel flame clip that's aftermarket. It doesn't come with the knife. Scott added that. It's his knife. He wanted to put it on there. It doesn't really matter what anybody else thinks about it because you guys didn't pay for it, right? I know there's going to be people complaining about the clip. Save it. Right? When you buy this, if you buy this, you can put whatever clip you want on it, right? You could take the clip off and you could draw a picture of a jack-o'-lantern, whatever you want to put on it. Doesn't matter. It's yours, right? Who cares? This clip is aftermarket, steel flame, fits 3-hole knives like ProTech, Benchmade, Emerson, many others, right? So whatever. The standard clip, it's just a regular ProTech clip, I think that's been polished, right? So there you go. Moving on here. Let's see. Blade stock thickness is going to be the same. Like I said, hardware is going to be the same, etc. So this is the newer style texturing that they do. And in my mind, I tried to imagine this with, as aluminum. ProTech does a good job with aluminum, but, when you texture aluminum, it tends to be a bit, it just feels like it's stamped, right? Because I think that's partially to do with just the nature of aluminum. This aluminum bronze is a lot like gold colored super heavy titanium, and the edges of everything feel, like titanium that's been properly knocked down. The texturing is legit, meaning it's there, you can feel it, right? Provides meaningful traction, but not so much that it feels sharp or uncomfortable. The ergonomics on the Rockeye, which are the same as the VECP mid-tech from Les George and the custom Rockeye from Les George, are phenomenal. This is such a wonderfully ergonomic design, and your fingers will make perfect use of that extra traction. Why they did not put it on the other side, I don't know, because these little ridges here for the pocket clip, right? They probably could have done 2 sections here and given just a little landing zone. One ridge right down the middle as a landing zone for the pocket clip so that you're not pressing your pocket clip, or pinching it through an area that's rubbing on the textured part, right? But there's plenty of lock-in and plenty of texturing here, and this is something that you can get with the aluminum versions as well. I like it a lot. I think I would like it more if it was one continuous thing through here, not divided up, but then again, with the pocket clip. They did not create a spot for a lefty mount position. Now, I don't know about you, right? But as a right-handed person deploying an automatic knife with my index finger, I don't really have a problem with it. I know how hard the thing's gonna fire. My point is, getting back on topic, lefties can absolutely manipulate these with their index fingers. So there should be a spot milled for a lefty position clip, right? Even if it's a little bit ugly and you have to look at 3 holes. Oh, boo-hoo, right? Lefties exist. Let's help them out. I think it would have been cool to have texture on both sides. That's what I think. Even if you did have to run the clip over the texturing, I don't think, nobody's going to die, right? So I think that'd be cool. The blade. Wow. This is super nice. Whenever we have a polished blade, you get people going, oh, that's really cool, but a high polish, I could never use something like that. I mean, it just looks too decorative. It looks too pretty. Did you know that like high polished blades have been a thing for a very, very long time? Like back during time periods where collecting knives was just not a thing. It was a finish that they applied to the blade, not only to increase corrosion resistance, but to reduce drag. Only recently, and I say recently, like ever since we've been embellishing knives, have people started to look at stuff like that and automatically assume that it is a decorative feature with no functional purpose. So when you say that, it just means that's what you think. You think it's too pretty to use. When in fact, a high polish or a mirror polish actually has functional applications, right? Now, ironically, the vast majority of people who pick stuff like this up, including myself, will absolutely only collect it and never use it. There will still be people who do, right? But let's get everything straight here, right? Just because it's a mirror polish doesn't mean that it wasn't made to be used. This is not done by machine. It is done by hand, the mirror polishing. So when you look at this stuff, right, and you see the higher price tag on something like this versus the standard one, the standard aluminum bronze with no mirror polish, right, or versus the basic one that's just aluminum and like a stonewash blade. People freak out. They're like, oh my gosh, it's hundreds of dollars more. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to get a true, this is a legit mirror polish. This is not like, oh, well, there's scratches in it, but who could tell? Yeah, it's not the same thing as having like, Tim down the street doing it, with a, I don't know, like a wire brush wheel. It's just not the same. It takes a lot of work and it's going to cost more money, right? The nice thing about ProTech is, this model line, for example, is that they offer variations of it so that you can pay what you want to pay for the elements that you want and ignore the elements that you don't, right? I think this is freaking awesome. It is 154 cm, which I gotta admit, I kind of wish that they would do these, like all of these nicer ones, in at least CPM 154. Not because I feel like I'm going to get that much more like potential performance out of it, even if I don't ever plan to use it, right? Certain knives I use, certain knives I don't. But just for that extra, like, at least it's powder formed. At least it's the premium version. I really wish they would just graduate into Magna Cut. I'd like to see, and I'm going to guess that here's the thing. The reason that you see a lot of RWL 34 and 154 cm on custom knives and mirror polished blades is because it's a nice performing, well-balanced steel that really takes a nice mirror polish, and it doesn't take nearly as much work as other steels, right? So if they were to do like M390 hardened to 63 Rockwell, then yeah, no, that would take an unbelievable amount of work, right? So I would venture to guess doing this with Magna Cut would be quite a bit harder. It might be that they just can't get, no matter how much work they put into it, they might not be able to get this type of polish, right? But I'd like to see it. That would definitely help kind of drive in the value. But this is fine. I'm okay with it. I just wish it was a little bit different. Blade looks excellent. Edge looks excellent. If you decided to use this, it would be fantastic. Absolutely. Mirror polished anything has more corrosion resistance than the same thing that is not mirror polished, right? Especially if it's like bead blasted or acid washed. Then it's like raw, little pores for moisture to collect. Really, really gorgeous blade. Everybody that I have shown this to has just been absolutely wowed by it. It says George on one side and then ProTech USA on the other. This has an abalone or abalone I always forget. I think Google tells me it's abalone. Yeah. Inlay on the firing button, which is really cool. Still has the seam construction here. You know, are the bronze scales a big part of it? I don't know. I've never thought of bronze as a luxury material, but then again, if we're being fair, neither is titanium. I have to imagine it's definitely more costly to machine than aluminum. I think it's actually more expensive for ProTech to acquire this stuff, especially if it's like a special grade of bronze that will hold up to the blade being slammed into it over and over and over again, right? So I have to assume there's a little bit of cost there, right? Is there a massive benefit in durability, usability, et cetera, et cetera? No, actually, I think it throws the balance off a little bit. But like I said, it offers that X factor of heavy knife equals valuable knife, right? It kind of throws that in there. The caveman in you can give it two big thumbs up, two brand new opposable thumbs up, right? Yeah. So value elements here, even though it doesn't offer a massive functional element, the bronze likely a little bit more expensive. Definitely a massive part of the cost goes into the blade. Absolutely, right? Mirror polished blade, when it's done correctly, right? When it's done correctly like this, it's going to cost a lot of money, for sure. Like I said, this pocket clip won't come with it. Still don't like that it's the Les George design. They put the lanyard hole above the pocket clip, which is just weird. Like, just put it back here. But okay. No lock stick. Very powerful coil spring. Perfectly centered. Can we see that? Perfectly centered. Ridiculous firing power. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I honestly don't know if they do something different with these, right? As a collector, this is something that just breaks my heart that I passed over. Right now, if I want to buy this, it's going to cost a lot more on the secondary. These were substantially more expensive than the regular versions. And I got to be honest with you, before I started this video, I looked all over the internet and could not find what the original base price of this mirror polished and bronze version was. I want to say it was $700 to $800, right? I know that the bronze version with the standard blade is about $450, and then the versions that are just like stone washed and aluminum are in the mid 200s, which I think is fine. Obviously, these are going to cater to different people. So people looking for just like a functional tool that also happens to be premium, US made, and automatic, they're going to find a lot more value in the base version. To collectors and enthusiasts looking for something special and limited run, they're going to find way more value in something like this, right? The reason I have not bought the base version again is because that is not what I want. I want to spend more money and get something cool and unique. And Scott was the one who did that, and in this case, he's reaping the benefits. I think this is probably one of the coolest Rockeyes that they have released, and in fact, all of their mirror polished stuff, all of ProTech's custom stuff, I've always really, really enjoyed, but I have a newfound respect for these aluminum bronze variants. They are really nice. This is not just slapped together. Like, these are quality. It's not just the weight. It's the actual machining, the feel of everything, right? I think it's awesome that this surface level patina forms. I think it looks really beautiful, contrasting with the mirror polished blade. I think this is just an absolute masterpiece. So congratulations to the people who did pick these up when you could. Like I said, I think the standard bronze ones and the standard aluminum ones are still available, so I'll make sure that those are linked right down below. This is going to go in my favorite knives of all time playlist. Obviously, it's not a knife that I can recommend to everybody because it is kind of a specialized collector kind of thing. But I think people who pick it up will really, really enjoy it. It's going to be pretty much it today. Thanks so much to Scott for once again sharing a beautiful piece from his collection. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do of course have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.